Hey, hello, and welcome or welcome back. And today I'm going to be showing something pretty cool, and that's a mechanic from The Last of Us, which is the listening mode. All right, which is one of my favorite mechanics in The Last of Us. Uh, but yeah, that's what I'm going to show you today. And you see Ramiro down here. Grabs him from Mixamo for this example because they don't have any clickers over there on Mixamo. So I grab Ramiro. He's close enough, a zombie. And while we're playing this, if I press the space key to go into listening mode, there we go. Now you'll see that everything gets desaturated like it does in The Last of Us. It kind of goes black and white. And we can now see there's a zombie behind each wall there that we didn't see before. It was just him. He's kind of like a trap. We go and attack him, and these guys are going to ambush us. You know what I mean? So that's what we're doing. And it's actually really simple and really easy. Not a lot of code, no need for writing shaders, but you can if you want. And let's get right into how this is done. Okay. So as you can see the grayscaled out right here. Okay. And that's because of this second camera I've added. And it has a volume on it, and I gave it color adjustment override, which sets the saturation down to 0 and sets the contrast down a little to give it kind of that, excuse me, blurry feel, because we could bring the contrast back up too. Just set it with something like that. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, so that's a little more, you get a little more contrast that way. So that's a matter of your liking, you know. And if you don't want it to go grayscale when you're listening, just don't give it a volume. Let's turn that off and see what happens. Okay, and now it's just still colored, but you can still see the zombies behind the walls or listen for the zombies behind the walls. All right. So that's the volume component I added to this camera, the overlay camera. But let's see how I did it. Okay. You get the main camera, like all projects start out with. Okay. And its render type is going to be base by default. And then I created a new camera, added it as a child, gave it the same position and rotation and all, but I set the render type to overlay. All right. And this is where the magic happens. It's the stacking of the cameras with an overlay camera. All right. And in the main camera, the only thing that's not default is the stack. Okay. I clicked the plus button after I created this camera and set it to overlay, and it added my overlay camera. You see it highlighted it right there. It added my overlay camera to the stack. Okay, that's the only thing that I changed about the main camera. And then on the overlay camera, like I said, you set its render type to overlay. And then the zombies, all right, if you look at like a cube, the layer is default. Everything starts off with default for a layer, okay? But the zombies, I gave them a layer called zombies. All right, I pressed add layer, found one that was empty, wrote in zombies, and that's all she wrote. Then I gave it to them. All right, and I gave it to each one of these. All right. So in the overlay camera, I went down to rendering and the culling mask, and I made it render only zombies, nothing else. No sky, no floor, no walls, no nothing. Only zombies. All right. And in the code, My player script is on the main camera because there's really no player. This is just a tutorial, and you don't need a player for this tutorial. It's for listening mode. So I just threw my script on the main camera, but this is the script that's on the camera. It toggles the overlay camera on and off when you press space. Okay, when you press and hold space. So if input get key code space, then it sets that second camera, which is the overlay camera, sets it active to true. And if you're not holding down space, it sets it active to false. Easy peasy, real simple. Okay. And then on the zombie, his code, we create three public materials. So we can drag them into the inspector. Make one the material we want them to be when you're listening. For me, I just created a universal render pipeline unlit shader that's in the list and made it white. I was going to make it outline. That's why it says that, but I was having issues with that shader, so I just said, no, I'll just make it white. And then it's got the two materials that are for what were originally on the zombie. And then we've got a private skinned mesh renderer called skin mesh renderer. And that skin mesh renderer we set equal to get component in children skinned mesh renderer. And why we do this is, if you look at a zombie, okay, I threw the animator on a zombie character and I threw the script on a zombie character. But there is no skinned mesh renderer. That's because it's in a child down here. Okay. So on this child of that zombie, there's a skinned mesh renderer and there's its two materials. Okay, right here and here. So I simply dragged in my material I created, which is right there, which is just a universal render pipeline unlit. Okay. And then it's two original materials that came with it. All right. So that's what that's doing. It's getting the component in the children, like I just showed you, and it's getting the component of skinned mesh renderer. And then what it does is, if get key code space, the same as the players, or in my case the camera's code, whatever key you're using that you want to listen with, keep it the same on the toggling in the player and the zombie. So key code space, if it's pressed down, it creates this array, material array, called materials, and it equals it to the skin mesh renderer dot materials. Okay, so it gets the materials from this skin mesh renderer and the children, and it creates an array out of them, and it will give you, however many are in that array. For me, it was two, so I created two material array spots, 0 and 1, array started 0, and I equaled them to the outline material, which is just a white one. Okay. And then skin mesh renderer dot materials equals materials. So we set it to these two after we get them. And then that's if space is pressed. Else, space is not pressed, we set the materials back to their original materials. Okay, and that's it for code. I mean, look at it. It's, basically 40 lines of code there and about 20 there. So you got 60 lines of code for a Last of Us kind of listening mode effect, which is, in my opinion, extremely cool. And again, all the magic happens by camera stacking. So that's all you got to do. Create a second camera away from the main, give it an overlay. And like I said, if you want it to be, like The Last of Us, where it's on the player, just make sure the overlay camera, make it a child of whatever camera you're using for the player. Okay. And make sure it's in the same position in rotation. Once you set it in there, and then it'll stay in the same position in rotation because you made it a child. All right. And then you just, add it to the stack, hit the plus button, add it to the stack so that the main camera knows that you want to overlay onto it. And that's it. Easy, right? Easy peasy. You really can't get any easier than that for a cool effect like this. So yeah, listening mode, man. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you got something out of it. And I think I covered everything. I feel like I'm leaving something out because it's so simple, but I really didn't. We've gone over um, that we put a script on a zombie and what that script does. And again, if you need to write it down, I'll stick here for 1 second so you can see what's there, and then I'll scroll down and you can type out the rest. Pause it, type out the rest. And then you got, like I said, the toggle, which is right here. And you just create an if statement and an else statement to toggle the second camera on and off when the key space or whatever key you want is being held down. And yeah, that's it. See how simple that is? I feel like I'm missing something, telling you something because it's so simple, but I really didn't. It's that simple. I mean, now the material I made, it surface type is transparent because I thought about making them transparent. If you look at it from transparency with some alpha set, you'll see it makes them transparent. Well, the material on them transparent. But, we've got these things that are like, I don't feel should be seen. Like right here, it's like little artifacts from the back faces and stuff. And I didn't like that, so I just set it to, well, I kept it transparent, but I set it to alpha all the way up. So it was, even though surface type is transparent, it's opaque because I set the alpha all the way up. And that's it. It's that simple to make a cool listening mode effect like in The Last of Us. It's that simple. All right. So if you liked it, hit the like button. And if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Okay. And leave a comment and tell me what you liked about this also. Because I'm a small channel right now. And the YouTube algorithm does not like small channels. And it does not share them with the amount of people that I want it to share with because it doesn't see the need to. It's all about my YouTube's a business. It's all about money, and it's going to share the biggest channels with you. You know, so help this channel grow. Like I said, it's free. All you got to do is hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't, and leave a comment. And that way you can support this channel for free. All right. So I urge you to support this channel for free if you like it. All right. And I appreciate your support. And, with that said, you know, listen well and, yeah, peace out.